3, 2, 1.
So we're free to travel again. What that means, I think it means a lot for people in the US if they're vaccinated, and also in Europe, of course, to be able to experience some freedom again, and hopefully not within the safety measures, and hopefully have some fun again. So that's what we're going to talk about today with Carol and me. We call this, I call it today, Freedom to Travel, according to Carol and me. And if you have any questions, just write them on any of the pages, so either Carol's page or on my Great Fun Adventures page. But don't write on my personal, because then I can't see them here. So, Carol, what do you want to start with today?
Yeah, wow. It's been a really exciting week. I actually was away in Umbria with a group of tour operators on a kind of what we call in the business an educational or familiarization trip, where a bunch of tour operators get together and they focus on a particular region, and it's usually sponsored by a local tour operator. So I was with this group of tour operators the last 3-4 days, and in the midst of this meeting, and we're cycling around Umbria and kind of really focusing on Umbria, announcements came out. So announcements came out about, I think, it's been said that COVID-free flights will be available immediately via Delta and Alitalia, because Delta and Alitalia are partners, from the US, Japan, and I believe they said Canada, but Canada is a bit of a mess in terms of vaccination schedules. So I'm not really sure, but I know for sure it's US and Japan. And this is active immediately. Although Draghi, the Prime Minister of Italy, hasn't made like an official announcement. This was an announcement that was made via Facebook, which is really strange, from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So it's all a little bit strange, and we're waiting in these next few days for more official details and official announcements about who can travel into Italy, and which borders are open, and how it's all going to work. Obviously, I'm a bit interested to hear announcements about Americans, because that's sort of my biggest market in terms of the travelers that come with me. But I also work a lot with Australia and also with England, so I'm really trying to follow this all as closely as possible. But it's nothing has been really official.
Well,
So,
I said before, no, that they have to be vaccinated. So, I mean, I see it strange that they will let in people who are not vaccinated, because it would be a bit difficult, I think. No.
Right.
But I don't
So
know. I mean, that's what they said before, but then of course they change all the time. So.
yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, and then I jumped on a webinar today with a bunch of operators who work with European travelers as well as US travelers, and I was just trying to get a sense of what people are thinking, what they're talking about, what's happened in the last couple of days, because I was really kind of involved in this educational, and it seems like it seems like the borders are going to open up like really soon, like much faster than France or even Greece. So originally France opened up and said, we're accepting people, I believe, from like early July. Like they're opening up, but you have to, I think Americans and other foreigners have to be vaccinated and will only be allowed to enter into the country like early July. And Croatia and Greece, who are other, two other countries that are a bit ahead in all of this, are basically sort of saying the same thing. But now Italy's made these announcements in the last couple of days that lead people to believe that they can get on a plane tomorrow and from America.
Well,
Or
I mean, the European Union is the ones who decides. I mean, I think they wanted to open up from
right,
1st of June, and then I think each country can decide if they want to wait or if they want to open up. But I don't think. I think the general rule, as far as I read it, that for Americans they need to be vaccinated and have done both,
right,
both the doses, because otherwise, and I don't know, it might also change, but I also find it strange with Canada because I talked to a person there last week or earlier this week, and then she said that they couldn't travel because I mean, she hadn't gotten all the vaccine yet. I mean, I think she had her first round, but she says it would be difficult for her to travel. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But I think I find it hard to see that they would open up for US people all around, without vaccine, because then I think by September we would be in the same situation as before.
exactly. It's kind of hard to believe, but the messaging is there. Katarina, it's really weird because I was on this webinar today and they were saying as long as you have this certificate that says you did testing before leaving the States and testing when you arrive in Italy, you could come in without doing quarantine and all this kind of stuff. The information is really confusing, but I think in the next couple of days, I mean, they're supposed to make some announcements tomorrow, Monday, to define things better. I'm really kind of hoping. The other thing that we really don't understand is like gatherings, how many people can be in a restaurant, or if people can get married and have gatherings of 25 to 50 people in the same place, or like there's all kinds of questions about gatherings, because here in Italy people are wearing the masks and trying, some yes, some no, to respect social distancing. But when you talk about like a wedding or a concert or a larger event, it's, it is what it is. And so nobody's made any announcements or references to
No, of course.
that. Yeah. So it's all kind of confusing, but I do think that in the next couple of days we should have more information on all of that.
I think, I mean, I'm reading now, but I think it's not very well communicated, because it says that they would cut quarantine, but I think what they mean is that, even if you're vaccinated, you have to, of course, do the COVID test. So I think they mean that they will board these planes with COVID tested people to come without quarantine, but I think they still need to be vaccinated to be able to come.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too.
Because otherwise it would go against European rules. Hello, Evelyn. Yes, we were. We decided late that we would go live. We're a bit kind of spontaneous about this.
Absolutely. Hi, Evelyn. Please
No,
ask me
it's going to
questions.
be interesting to see. So I mean, I think it's good for also one of the wineries I helped. They posted the other day about or 1 week about the Draghi, that they were opening up to travelers again. So I mean, definitely it's going to mean, of course, all wineries need to follow, and all other places will need to follow safety rules anyway. It's not that it's going to open up and you can just
Right.
have 50 people in your tasting rooms and you know everybody hanging out. So I guess it's also going to be interesting to see how you know people would cope. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's also really interesting to think about, restaurant owners. Are they expecting to be able to serve inside now, inside as well as outside? Because a lot of restaurant and bar and bistro owners don't have the outdoor space, and so they're really waiting for this opportunity to be able to have people back indoors inside their spaces, because it's not, especially in a city like Florence, it's not like everybody has sidewalk space or outdoor space. So it's complicated.
But I
And
think that they're giving to most people now who wants to open up. They're giving, you know, if it's possible, you know, outside their restaurant or bar, they give them. I mean, I've seen some places that didn't have outdoor serving before, and they have gotten it now outside. So I don't know. I don't know about it, but it seems like they're being more kind of open-minded about giving restaurants or coffee bars permission to have tables outdoors if it's possible. What do you think?
yeah, and I think they're trying to, social distance people as much as possible. The museums opened, I think, what was it, a week ago? My son was at the Uffizi today. Um, so that's really exciting, and they're
Yeah.
limiting, I think, the number of people that they allow to enter into the museums, and I think that's something that's gonna continue for quite some time. I heard somewhere that it was like 50% entrance, like, compared to what
Yeah.
it is in normal times, right? So um, that's a good thing, though, that at least people are able to get back into museums, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, I guess it's also a test to see, you know, what will work and what will not work. Because I mean, I don't want to be the kind of party pooper here, but I think, you know, in the autumn we will have another wave. So hopefully it's going to be a less strong wave, but also we don't know, since I read about the UK where the researchers are a bit worried because they have the Indian how to say, mutation now, and they're
right.
not sure how well the vaccine is safe against that. So I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, that it's going to be that drastic in the autumn, but I think they're also testing, you know, to see how to try and move forward, even if we have the the pandemic. I mean, because I don't think it's over from now. It's still here. It's just that
Yeah.
it's going down for the summer because it's warmer and we've been closed up for so many months. So I think it's also good, you know, to see what can work and what cannot work. So
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot of pressure on the Italian government, to open up to tourism for big markets like
yeah,
USA, Australia, Canada, and Japan, um, because it's what, something like 13% of their
yeah,
GPA. It's very important, source of profit for Italy, and so and people in tourism are really shouting out, kind of about this
yeah.
issue. And so I think um,
No,
there's
for
this
sure.
whole economic, and political pressure to open up, and at the same time things aren't completely a posto, as we say in Italian. Like, we're not really ready. They've sped up the vaccine. They're up to people in their 50s, and I think next week they're opening up to people in their 40s, and blah blah blah. And it's going much faster than it was a couple weeks ago. The same thing happened, no, more like a couple months ago. The same thing happened in the US where it was kind of slow to start and then
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah.
No, I mean it's true. I mean it's for sure that they're trying to open up because the economy is going down otherwise. It's also, I guess, political because the right wing are pushing for opening up much more.
Yeah.
But I can also understand that they're afraid, because last summer they just kind of opened everything up, and then we
There
had
was a
this reaction in October when it just came back like so strongly. But I agree that they need to open up, but I also think it's good, perhaps to take it step by step and not be too. I mean, it seems that they still try to keep some safety measures. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm a bit cautious because I don't want to sit next autumn again, for 3 months and not be able to go out. So it would be, better to take it step by step. And I think they're trying to do that, but it's hard, of course. But there are some, parties who want to open up everything. So I mean, that's the thing they have to do. But yeah, it's not easy.
Right.
But I also think, I mean, it's of course it's needed because wineries, travel business, tourism, restaurants, they need to earn money. Otherwise, still we're not even in the economic crisis yet that will come. So I mean,
Yeah. So I'm curious to know how you feel in terms of like the general like what's your feeling about like Italians in general and how they're um respecting or not respecting the mask thing? Because I was on this educational, as I said, this past weekend, and people were pretty good about the masks. And then we were outdoors a lot riding our bikes, and so we had the masks off, and then we would enter in and everybody would put their masks on. But there were some people who just didn't. They just didn't. Like we would go inside a church or into a public place, and some people were just like, "Oh, whatever. I'm not going to put my mask on." I would say the majority did, but some didn't, and I found this kind of mixed crowd, and I'm just wondering, like, what are your observations about mask or no mask?
I mean, as far as I can see, where I've been, people are really good at keeping the masks on. I mean, of course, there's always people who don't, but mainly I've seen that it's mainly younger people, like teenagers who are in their 20s.
Yeah.
For the rest, I can't say. I mean, there's always some cases, but I mean, as far as I've seen, most people keep their masks on.
Right.
I mean, especially if they go indoors somewhere, they might, not have them on all the time outdoors. But also most people there, I mean, when I'm out walking in the city, I mean, I see most people have their masks on.
Right.
I think I would be very annoyed if somebody didn't put it. But it's not because I don't want, I'm angry because they don't put on their mask for their sake. But if you go into a place with other people, I wouldn't find it very respectful not to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I mean, I understand that it's not easy, but it's not easy for none of us. And I think, if we're going to open up to all these people coming, we have to follow it. Otherwise,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's not going to be working very well. I think if we open up, there comes a lot of people, and then everybody ditch masks and distances and everything. Then I mean, because I talked to my friend who lives in Singapore, and they're locking down the country again, and almost everybody are vaccinated there because they had a surge again of okay
After,
that people
wow.
okay people don't get into emergency they don't get that sick, but still they have a high because there were some people who were vaccinated but who got it, and then they kind of infected a lot of other people, so they've had like the numbers going up and up, so they started to then close down, so you could only be 5 people gathering again. Then it was down to 2, and from today they closed down everything again. So I mean, of course that people are not, in general they're not getting as sick perhaps, as if you don't not vaccinated, but still,
Sure.
it's not like if you can just be vaccinated. Like, also I heard some people in Sweden, like they got vaccinated and they just, but like now everything is over and we can, go out, hug each other, hang out, not have any kind of safety measures. Because I mean, I don't know, I feel like, it's going to take a year yet still probably
Yeah.
to get out of it. So I don't know what is, I guess, we all have to be vaccinated because that's the only way to start and get out of it. But still, I think even if you're vaccinated, you have to be quite careful, because there was also in Sweden some story my mother told about a friend who is a nurse, and they got vaccinated, but through her son, they got it. So they got like COVID 2 times.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So they had to stay at home again.
So yeah, back to this thing about vaccination and getting COVID. So in Singapore, I'm just really curious because I hadn't heard anything about that. So you're saying that everybody pretty much has been vaccinated in Singapore, but people were then getting COVID after the fact, after they've been vaccinated?
Because you get, I mean, so there's a lot of people who get the virus anyway. It's not like you can't get it just because you're vaccinated. It's just that you don't get as sick. So I think probably there was, somebody working in the hospital who got it, and then, these people just, spread it to other people. I'm not sure. That's what I heard, but I don't have the, the facts.
Right.
And then apparently the numbers have just, gone up and up.
Right.
I also think they do it, as a safety measure, because they don't want to be in a position where they have a lot of infected people again. So I mean, the numbers are going up, but it's not like, that they have like thousands a day or something. But I think it was, to try and keep it, so it didn't kind of spread too much.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, but for the masks, I think people are good. I mean, there's always going to be people who don't use the masks and who don't respect. There's always going to be the, non-believers in the virus.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of, get rid of them, or to kind of convince them also. But I think in most people are fairly respectful also. I don't know, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, from what I can see, most people are pretty respectful, and pretty diligent about using the masks. Here in Italy, as I move around my neighborhood and go to my my local markets and blah blah blah, I noticed on this weekend away, people seem to be a little bit more lax about things. Like I said, seeing like a group of people traveling together, and how different people in the group were really diligent about using the mask and putting it on, and other people much less so. So it's very kind of personal, I guess. In the end. But so the other thing that I was really curious to listen to today when I jumped on this webinar was just about the opening up of Italy to tourism and how that's going to unfold, and whether or not people, Americans or other, are going to flood, Italy once they open the gates, and say, okay, you can come. If people are going to race to come to Italy because, San Marco is basically empty in Venezia. And so it's like the most beautiful opportunity to go to Venice and not have it be overrun with tourists. When people hear that, they're like, wow, okay, I'm ready to go. of course, you have to be a certain kind of traveler to say that, right? More
Yeah.
intrepid, kind of adventurous. Okay, as soon as I can get on the flight, I'm coming and I'm going to Venice or I'm going to Rome or I'm going wherever because Italy's so empty right now. And then there's the more cautious, conservative traveler who's saying, "Oh, forget this year. Everything's such a mess. We'll just travel in 2022. We'll just
Yeah.
wait until it's really safe and then come over." So it's just it's interesting to watch all of this unfold and evolve because it really there's all types, right? And all types of travelers. And so there are people who are just like chomping at the bit, waiting to come to Italy because they're
Yeah.
for whatever reasons. And then those who are, really just willing to like hold off and wait until next year. But what I heard on this webinar today is like these tour operators were sort of saying, now's the time to come this year because it's not going to be like this for a really long time. This thing about, going to San Marco in Venice and being in the piazza with, having it all to yourself, so to speak. It's a very unique time. And so for those who want to experience Italy,
Yeah.
with no tourists and long lines and in this really beautiful, gorgeous way that you and I are able to experience as we travel around a little bit here and
Yeah.
there. It's kind of like I've been wowed. I was in the Cinque Terre a month ago, and the local people were like singing in the piazza and the little kids playing soccer in these teeny tiny piazzas. And it was like the Cinque Terre 25 years ago when or more, just like this other world of the life that the people live there without tourism. And it's so dependent, yet they're so dependent on tourism.
Yeah.
And as soon as it opens up and people come back, the Cinque Terre is going to be a totally different place than it is in this moment. And so I was just like filming and taking photographs because it was so amazing. It was like out of some old film. I believe some of the things that I saw that were just so beautiful, and people relaxed and people enjoying like their own environment without, the hustle and bustle. In that situation, there are teeny tiny villages along the coast of Liguria that are invaded by tourists from like April through the end of October, traditionally, and without COVID. And in these times, it's just the local people. And so you go there and it's really like stepping back in time. And I've seen that not only in the Cinque Terre, but in small villages in Tuscany and lots of different places when I've been able to like get out and travel. And so in a way, it is this like, it's like this very special moment. So if travel opens up, it's sort of like that what these tour operators were saying today on this call was like, come now if you really want to have like an amazing experience. Yes, you have to, wear your mask and follow the rules and be very sensitive to, COVID restrictions and rules, but it's a very, very unique time to be in Italy.
I mean, I feel like, at least also here in Florence, I mean, I think it's been really great. I don't say that the pandemic is great, but I think it's been very great for the city, to also for the inhabitants to rediscover their own city. And I realized that it's probably going to go back to masses of people in 2 years' time or so. But I feel a bit sad about it in one sense, because I think like A lot of these Italian cities, of course, it's the main income, but they have also had a bit lost their soul, in my opinion. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it can be kind of adapted to. I don't know if it's possible to adapt tourism in another way. But I was thinking about what you said about people. Some will travel, some will not. I mean, I'm helping, or I was helping with names to organize a wine event in Puglia, Radici del Sud. So I asked around a bit from among journalist friends and then buyers and so on. And I must, say, so half of them wanted to travel, but they all asked, about the safety measures, if it was safe to come. And the other half said they don't want to travel until the pandemic is over. So I think, it's like 50-50.
Yeah.
I also think like probably it's going to be the people, because it is a bit more expensive to travel now, because you have to do, even if you're vaccinated, you have to do COVID tests. You have to. So I mean that it's a bit more complicated. So I don't know if it's going. Probably it's also going to be the people who are really convinced or have the measures to to prepare for the travel and stay a bit longer, because it takes a bit longer.
Exactly. They talk about these tests that they're doing in the airports, right? In both Rome and Milan, but they're not free, right?
No. You have to pay.
No. Yeah. So what if you don't pay, or you don't have the, like, I was sort of thinking about
you can't get on a plane if you haven't done the test.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't let you check in or anything. So
it's like,
because I was in Berlin and I had done a test like 1.5 days before, because the last day at the event I couldn't go in, and do the test because we were busy with stuff. So, but it would still be like 48 hours. But when I was checking in, they then told me like, okay, so since there was only one connection to go back from Berlin, and I would have to sit in one unit the whole day, as I said the last time, I think. I mean, so they told me, okay, so the test when you arrive to your destination is not going to be within 48 hours, so we can't let you on. Which is like, what? And it's like, no, then you have to do another test, but you have to be quick, because you will make it, but you have to be quick, because it takes 20 minutes to get the results, so go in line. So I mean, if they want to travel, they have to do this test, because it's not like you can come here and say, I don't want to do the test, because either you're not going to get on the plane from your hometown or your home, or you're not going to be able to go back. So, and it also, like, if you would get COVID while you're here, I mean, then you have to stay here for like, until COVID passes. So it's also, if you're not careful, it's not that easy, it's not just to say like, I don't want to do the safety measures, I don't want to wear masks, I don't want to do the test, because if you would get it, even if you're vaccinated, it's not that they're going to let you on a plane with other people who might not be vaccinated. So
exactly, that's a sort of nightmare situation, I suppose, for a traveler who gets COVID in transit. Whatever.
No, I mean, I think it's okay, as long as everybody are careful. I mean, nobody will be let on a plane if they don't have the FP2 mask anyway. So and if they don't have the test, they're not going to be able to check in. So I think it's going to filter out in its own way. I mean, if people don't want to do it, it's just they can't travel. So
yeah.
And I think also that's a safety measure for everyone, no? So you don't get these planes where people are like, getting on anyway, and then you just spread the virus to all.
Yeah.
So
you've been much more adventurous and have traveled way more than me, even though I'm the one working in travel. You work in wine, but it's beautiful that you were able to go to Berlin. You've been down to Puglia, right?
To Puglia I went by car. So
by car, okay.
With another friend who drove, but now I'm going by train. First to Montefalco, early June, and then directly from there to Puglia in train. So.
Okay.
But I've asked them to put me like in first class train because, you know, I want to avoid having a lot of people, even if, you know, because I will have to take like in city and regional train at some point. So
Sure.
for shorter.
But
Um,
do you know anything about these COVID-free trains? Because today they were talking about this on that same call, COVID-free flights and COVID-free trains on the Freccia Rossa. Have you heard anything about? No.
no, I don't know. I
Yeah,
have to
I
look
haven't
into that.
either.
Perhaps they're going to do kind of trains just for the people coming here. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I need to get better informed about this COVID-free train thing, like what's happening with that. But all the announcements are coming out right
Yeah.
now, these days. So, anyways, do we have some questions from Evelyn?
No, I think she said like she heard about the cost of the tests. Yeah. No, it's not free. If you want to travel, you have to pay, I think. So
The cost
for
of
the
the
test.
test, right?
Yeah. No, I mean that would actually be a good thing, I think, no? But then you also would have to probably do another test before you get on a train. I don't know.
Exactly. I'm kind of wondering how that works.
Because otherwise, how can they know that you're COVID free? So
Right. Right.
basically, you will have to do like 10 tests in 10 days to to
Yeah.
travel. I don't know. No, but that's a bit exaggerated, but yeah. No, but I'm excited also, you know, to have some people here again. It's going to be fun to see people as long as it's able to organize it all. I guess
Yeah.
you will get more hands-on experience, you know, by organizing tours. So
Mhm. Yeah.
or
I must say, I'm super excited about the news of the last few days. It's really like energized me. And then being out with tour operators, and so talking with my colleagues, and just about what's about to happen, and working again. It was very exciting, even though, as you said, we have to proceed with caution. And but there was all this talk, like in tourism, there have been all these restrictions, even about traveling in a van. So if you have a group of 8, you need to put 4 in one van and 4 in another van, instead of 8 that you could normally fit into one van with a driver. So it's costly when you're talking about, touring around Tuscany
yeah,
for a week. You need to add on a van and a driver. So all these things are still really unclear. Are they still gonna, stick to those restrictions?
I
Um,
think so. What I've heard, it's going to be on 50%.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I don't think they're going to take away that restriction.
right.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but I don't think so. I think that would be a bit.
So people are, because if we're having to be distanced in restaurants and museums and every other sort of enclosed space, it absolutely makes sense that then if you're traveling by van, you can only have, you know,
Yeah.
4 people in an 8-passenger van or whatever. So all these details are kind of important, and everybody's sort of waiting for the news and the final decisions on all that. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
no. But also last summer when they had opened up like more, I mean, they just took away all the like the curfew and everything. I mean, when I traveled to Campania, it was still 50%, and they took the fever before you could get into the bus. So I think it's going to stay the same now. I don't
Yeah.
know. I can imagine because otherwise it would be a bit scary, I guess, for people to.
Yeah, it would be a bit strange all of a sudden to have like full capacity on the trains, or full capacity on airplanes and everything. that all of a sudden we just like that. Although, if you read the news about what's happening in America with so many people being vaccinated, again, they're at a different place than we are with vaccinations, but with so many people being vaccinated, they're like talking about going out now with no masks and like life going back to normal, blah, blah, blah. It's just, and Italy's like in everything. We're always kind of a couple months behind kind of, America or other places. So it's just hard.
Well, I mean, America is also ahead because they changed the president and because they had a direct channel to the pharmaceutical companies. I mean, here it goes through the European Union. It doesn't. It's not really Italy who decides.
Yeah. Yeah.
How to buy the vaccine. So I'm not sure if it's fair to say that Italy is always behind the US because
No,
in general they are, but for innovation and stuff. But
yes. I just mean in terms of timing of the way things seem to happen, not that it's necessarily that Italy's so behind. Of course, there's lots of reasons why, but it's seeming to be that way, that in this kind of pandemic, things have been happening in other places first, and then maybe in Europe a little bit more slowly. But that's probably a good thing, you know.
But then also, I mean, US, then I think it also depends on state to state, and then, some opened up and then I had to close again. And I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit dubious about the fact that just because you're vaccinated, you can go out, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at Singapore now, it comes back to bite you in the.
Yeah, I want to read more about Singapore. That's so fascinating.
I mean, China has also had some cases again now, I read. So I think it's just, I think it's good to be vaccinated, of course, and it's going to take probably, another year or so to get the vaccine to be more developed. I mean, we're all kind of guinea pigs right now. Andrea says that they're very slow in Canada too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. So, Andrea, tell us more about Canada, because I have only heard that they're sort of behind the US in terms of vaccine rollout, and I haven't heard much else. I'd be really interested to hear what's happening in Canada. If you want to share.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be good. Yeah, she agrees that it will be another year.
Another year.
Yeah, vaccine have been slow to roll out. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it probably depends on each country also what deals they make with the pharmaceutical companies, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Spanish flu took 4 years to come through for the world. So I think we're ahead schedule in general, and more innovative with technology and with research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Spanish flu.
Yeah, but the Johnson & Johnson didn't it become blocked for a while because it's also this new way of doing a vaccine that is a bit more aggressive? So it can have more side effects, I guess. We'll see. You're planning to come to Italy for July? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So you have to tell us when you know if you can come.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's really positive. I mean, I think it doesn't really matter that much if you have to wear a mask and if you have to keep your distance. I mean, at least when I was traveling now to Germany, I was just happy to be able to travel. So I mean,
yeah,
I see some people. I didn't really mind to have to be careful and wear a mask, and
Sure.
it's a bit tiresome to travel. That is true, because you have to be more, you have to look up so you're there in time, and you can't come in the last minute. And
Yeah.
but
But it's also true, and I don't know if you agree with me, but the mask has become like this habit. It's a habit, but it's not a habit in the sense that so many friends of mine have the same experience of me of like forgetting it, or you're going out the door and then you have to go back home to get your mask because you
yeah,
forgot it, or and it's a year and a half now, so it should be a habit, right? It takes 66 days or whatever to develop a habit. Why is this like not a habit? Because it feels so unnatural in a way. So I'm forgetting my mask often. I have to go back and get it or find an extra in my car or something. And then there's other times where you go out and you feel naked if you don't have your mask on. It's like, or you're in a situation where you're like, people don't have mask on, and you're sort of like, oh my god, I need my mask, or
yeah.
or we're dreaming about situations where we're like left without our mask. It's so crazy, the whole thing, because it's very unnatural on the one hand, but it's a habit that we've been forced to kind of formulate. And I
No,
find
that's true.
it's really interesting because when I forget it, I get so mad at myself because I'm like, how could this be? It's so long now that, I have to wear this mask. How can I forget it? But it happens.
No, no. I mean, I must say, I mean, in the beginning, I forgot it all the time. Now I must say that it feels a bit, I just have one with me, and
Mhm.
put it on when I go out. But yeah, it's true that sometimes it's really annoying, and sometimes it feels like you have to have it.
Right.
It's not like you can go out and go to the supermarket and shop without worrying about how you look,
I'm
because
out.
no one sees you anyway. So
Right. I don't have to put lipstick on. No,
no,
it's funny because a couple of times my supermarket, and I'm sure most supermarkets have extra masks, that they give out to people who don't have them. So in the beginning, like a couple times, it was like, oh, here comes Carol again. My local supermarket, they all know me. And I would walk in and be like, no, don't have the mask. And then would give me one of their masks. I haven't done that in a really long time now. Like, I must say that I always have one extra in my car, one in my purse, blah, blah, blah. So I always have one, but it's just, it is interesting because it's the most unnatural habit that we have had to formulate. Like, it's a habit that we resist. Like, we don't want to have to form this habit, but then
yeah.
we have to in the
But
end.
then I read somewhere that thanks or due to the fact that we're wearing masks, I mean, people have less flu, they have less,
Mhm.
other kind of
Sure.
bacteria or viruses or colds, because you wear the mask, so you
Yeah.
don't get.
Yeah.
So I don't
No,
know. I mean, it's
totally.
yeah, it's a funny year, a funny period. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure people are picking up less things because of the mask. Yeah. That's actually kind of awesome. Um,
Yeah. Not that I would want to wear a mask, for always. I
I
think that
know.
would be.
I was thinking that the other day, talking with my sons, and we're like, are we gonna always be like, where are we gonna wear masks forever? It's like, it's sort of like, because they talk about like future pandemics, and that this
I
one's
mean,
not.
when you read these articles about, like, I don't know, Japan, like Singapore, or was it more Taiwan and countries like that, where I read this article last year that some researcher medic there said something like, well, since they had this other virus some years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I don't know, what was it? Can't remember the name of it, the other virus that never came to Europe. And he says, well, we're used to wearing masks. People are doing that. That's what we do, because it's like, I guess it's also because it's very polluted there. So they say when you go out and you go into the metro or something, you always have a mask on. So that for them, it wasn't nothing new. But then I was also thinking, like, shit, I don't want to wear a mask, you know, for the next 15 years or so.
Yeah, we're not really excited about that becoming like a part of the way we live. Also because like people are very expressive with their eyes, of course. Like you
Yeah.
see people's eyes and that people express a lot with their eyes, but there's a lot to be said for like the mouth and I think that's become even more valuable in food because I'm always looking at people going, yeah, but I wonder what their mouth is like or their teeth or whatever. Like you just see their eyes, and it is very expressive, an expressive part of our face, but the rest of our
Yeah, that's true.
it seems like all the rest is really becoming more and more important in Germany.
Yeah, because in Germany, I mean, they were really, really rigid and strict with everything, but then they had like the buffet food. But that's another interesting point. I mean, because I don't know if all countries are that severe, because also in Italy now they've been really good with food if you go out also to events when
There's
they
no buffet though. It's the same because I was just touring through Umbria, and for breakfast, there's no buffet. So we had to go up and sort of ask the waitress for what we wanted, the server there at the hotel, and they can't put out buffets in
No,
restaurants.
no, I know. But I mean, in Germany they did it. But I think it was only there because some other person there told me that she had been in other places in Germany on some tastings, and there it was completely not allowed to have buffet or anything. But I think that's a habit I think they need to keep this summer, because if people start mixing food
Mhm.
and glasses, I think then it's fairly quick to.
Yeah.
So I mean, perhaps more than distances, I think also to keep the food kind of that, that people can't walk and take the food
Yeah.
from the same place. I think that's probably what they need to do. But I think they will do it too, because I think Italy is too afraid still to get back
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
situation where. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think they're really rigid about the buffet thing. Um, Hotels are not in a big rush to go back to buffet. I'm sure they're not going to do that this summer. Um, and who knows for how long moving forward. So,
Yeah.
it was fine. All these things like are not, it's the level of inconvenience is all kind of like in our heads because it's fine. Like, it's convenient to have all the food spread out in front of you and be able to pick what you want to eat. But
Yeah, but sometimes it's also quite nice. I mean, like when I was in Campania last September, it was like you could go and say what you wanted. It's just that they put it on plates for you, and then they came to bring it to your table. And I mean, that's nicer. I mean, I don't even have to walk around with the food on my own. So you just tell them
that,
what you want. So in the end, I think I agree. I mean, it's not really that it disturbs. Sometimes it might be even better because you don't have to kind of stand in a queue or.
exactly. It's just an adaptation. I feel like most of this stuff is really just like adapting to different rules that we're not used to, and none of it's like so horrific. It's really
No.
a matter of like adapting and being respectful and thinking outside of the box and in a different way about how we need to move in society and around each other and to keep to remain safe.
No, I
It,
think it's going to be fine. I mean, as long as people, I think people who are coming will also be fairly prudent, because it's not like they want to risk to stay here for like a month or so.
Exactly.
I mean, so I mean, at least I thought like that because I was a bit nervous when I went to Germany. Like, oh my God, what if I have to stay there? Where would I go? I mean, you know, if you have to stay.
Yeah.
So in the end, you just try to be very kind of, you know, think about what you do and how you do it. But it doesn't really disturb the rest of the things you do because it's just that you try to think about the, you know, the restrictions that they have, and
Hmm.
at least I think so.
I
But
think so too. Yeah. Yeah.
and it will be good for everyone. I mean, it will be good also here that, you know, that the tourism can restart a bit, and
Hmm.
to get some people and to get some, you know, some economy growing a bit again, because
Yeah.
it's drastic for a lot of people. So I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And we will be waiting for Andrea, who hopefully will come to to visit.
Yeah.
So
And
where will you go, Andrea, if you're going in July? I don't know if she's still listening. Um,
hmm.
Anything else you want to add? I think we're up to an hour now, so we might.
Yeah, I think this was a really good chat.
Yeah.
It's always great to talk with you because your world is close enough to mine, but different enough. And so we get different points of view from our colleagues and things we're experiencing. And as I said, you've been I'm the one working in travel, and you've been traveling more than me, which is amazing. But it's all super interesting, and I think things are going to really unfold in the next couple of weeks. There'll be more announcements about what's going to happen. So on our next call, we'll have more we'll have more information to
Well,
share.
anyway, anyone who is going to come, I mean, you know, you have Carol for the tours and the I don't know, bike tours and food tours, and if you want to
That's
learn more about wine, you can contact me. So
exactly. Yeah,
we're both in Tuscany, so if anybody's coming to Tuscany, I mean, that's
exactly.
a
We are
combined bonus.
exactly. And we are ready to work. That's the other thing, is that we're all super enthusiastic to go back to work. So
Yeah, I hope I didn't sound too negative. I wasn't really negative. I'm just a bit.
no,
I'm so
no.
used to being very overcautious now and trying
Yeah,
to go on tastings anyway. And
yeah,
I've seen also that people who have managed to do. I mean, also in Lamole, they did a tasting when we're still in Orange, and they were really kind of careful and respectful. So I mean, you can do things. It's just you have to think about how you do them. And
exactly. Yeah,
I think that's probably the main thing to be aware of. Also, for people who want to come here, to know that it's possible. It just goes a bit slower, and which can also be a good thing. I think to go a bit slower and
yeah.
to have more. So I think we've exhausted our topic for today.
Yeah, this has been really fun as always, Katarina. So,
For me
yeah,
too.
like I said, we'll have more information on our next call in a couple weeks and see what happens.
Let's see if we do it next week or in 2 weeks. No, in 2 weeks perhaps. That would be the end of May. Then we might know more what is going on.
End of May,
Yeah.
right?
So thank you, Evelyn, Andrea, and anybody else who were here listening in. I think there was somebody else also, but I can't see them now. Well, anyway, so join us in 2 weeks. Anything you want to add, Carol?
No, just well, I want to encourage people to think about coming to Italy this year, of course, even though it's a bit safer to think about 2022, but it's a real opportunity to come this year if you can, and if it's safe and you feel good about it, come now.
Yeah, I
We're
mean, if
in the
you're
fall.
vaccinated, if you get on the, I don't
Yeah,
know, the COVID-free flight or the COVID-free train,
right.
then I think it's okay. Then you can just kind of connect with us, and we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. Okay,
Okay.
ciao. Have a great Sunday.
Ciao.